Okay, folks. Today is the 23rd of March, 2019. The Day of Bear. And for those of you who are participating with me and have been participating with me in the Four Seasons calendar, the previous video mentions that I'll be drawing the pathway spread on the Day of Bear. And my reason for this is because the Day of Bear is the day of introspection, to go within and find out. And the reason why I decided for the very first time for the 21 years, in the 21 years that I've been doing the Four Seasons calendar to draw the pathway spread, is to find out whether what I've been doing is just simply a waste of time, or is it leading me to, is it leading me anywhere constructive, or advantageous to my success in life, or whatever. And to briefly explain, how it all started, how the Four Seasons calendar started. First of all, pertaining to what I'm going to describe to you, this is this piece of it's a baby blanket, and it was made by my son's mother's mother. For my son, and he's the only child in my life, and I love him very much. And and the reason why I started the Four Seasons calendar was because no one was, well, in the complications that followed his birth, as far as, he was born okay, and he was born healthy, and everything was fine. And his mother, however, had emotional difficulties that she couldn't handle, and she didn't want me to keep our son. She wanted to have him given to a friend of mine. And during the time period after his birth, I enjoyed. I was so enjoying taking care of him and making sure that everything was okay, and that he was fed, and she couldn't do any of that. And so I enjoyed doing all that. and but that's what she didn't like. She had gone back to her dad, to give you an example of the emotional stress that she was under. She had gone back to her dad, and her dad apparently was messed up in the head, as far as I'm concerned, that he her mom and her dad divorced because her mom told me that he was a child abuser, and the children, her siblings, my son's siblings, suffered as a result of his child abusing habits. And so while she was, after my son was born, I had him home and taking care of him, and she had gone back to her father, and the next, about a week later, I have him coming down with her in the basement apartment where we live, with a policeman, and I guess apparently her father didn't like the idea that, I'm not perfect in my personality. My personality was messed up as a result of my upbringing. But as far as taking care of a child was concerned, I had no problems whatsoever. And I really enjoyed taking care of our son. And so she had come downstairs with her father, with the policeman, to take my son away. And when the policeman saw that everything was okay and that my son was happy and smiling, and he looked at my son's mother and her dad in a troubled manner, and decided that it was, that the call that he had made to the police department was bogus. And so he asked me if everything was okay. I said, yeah, everything's perfect. So he just decided to leave, and as soon as he walked out the apartment, my son's mother and her dad just walked out with him, and nothing was done against my son. And I thought that was crazy and interesting at the same time, how my son's mother's father would do that to me, and how she would allow him to do that without. She apparently didn't like the idea that I loved my son, and to her it looked like I loved him more than I did her. And she didn't like that, because after he was born, she asked me to take my son to the nursery because she didn't like me taking care of him and being preoccupied with him rather than with her, and it was hard for me to understand that, how she couldn't love our son as much as I did, at least as much as I did. And so the time came where I loved her, and I wanted to make our marriage work. And so she said, if you want our marriage to work, then you gotta get rid of him. You gotta give him to someone. So we found a friend of mine from Hawaii who was glad to take care of him. But because of my way of thinking, I didn't want to lose my custody of my son. While I tried to get things better for her and myself, so that we can have a family of our own. And it took about 1 year for me to try to get things working between her and I, but like, we went to the therapist and we talked to him, and I talked to him separately and she talked with him separately, but the therapist told me that everything was okay between him and I, but whenever it was her turn to talk to the therapist, she didn't say anything. And so apparently she was emotionally lost as far as her own life was concerned. Apparently due to the abuse with her and her dad. So anyway, after the year was up, during that year we visited my son every week. But she didn't like that either. So after the year was up, where she finally gave up on me. She found somebody else, married him, and so I went back to the people that we gave our son to and asked them told them that I was ready to take care of him, and I had I was given a disability in my situation, so I could care for him, and but the people that was caring for him said no, that he was bonded to them. So I couldn't imagine. In other words, I lost custody of him, and no one had told me what was going to happen and what was happening. All I knew that I had lost custody of my son, and I was traumatized as a result. And so after losing custody, a year later, after the woman who was taking care of him, and the family who was taking care of him, after she didn't even call me at all during the holidays, and we all know that the holidays is for families to be together, and like Thanksgiving and Christmas, and so she didn't even call me to ask me whether I wanted him for Christmas or Thanksgiving, and I didn't even think to ask them if I could have him for the holidays. So after 2 years going without him for the holidays, I lost my mind in actuality, and I asked her if I could see him, and it was 1996 during the Christmas holidays, and my mother was dying, and she was with my sister in Las Vegas, and she was there, and I wanted to be with my family, so I went. I asked him for my son. I asked her for my son, and then just didn't tell her what I was going to do, because I just felt I desperately needed to be with my family. So I took him, and she says, realize the good thing that we have, that she's taking care of him, and I can see him anytime. But at that time, coming from the background that I did, I didn't know how to talk or reason or use my my intellectual self to deal with the emotional problems I was going through, and I didn't know how to deal with that. So I says, yeah. So I took him, and I decided to take him illegally to California or to Las Vegas, so I could be with my family there. And then I guess you pretty much know that because of the fact that I didn't tell them that I was doing this, they got worried, and I called them and I was just, my mind, I had lost my mind. I says, I'm not going to bring him back, and don't worry about us. And because some families, I don't know how they do it, but they don't talk to one another. And unfortunately, I was dealing with the family that was taking care of my son in that way. They wouldn't talk to me, and I didn't. And I was raised up myself by a family that didn't talk as well. They would just tell me, just do as we say and shut up. Well, essentially, that's the way I grew up in Hawaii, and being brought up in the old way, the old Hawaiian way. That's the way I was treated, and we all was treated that way. Just obey, be obedient. And I guess when you look at that, when Hawaii was taken over by the so-called Illuminati government, they pushed that obedient thing on us. And so the way I see it is that's the reason why I grew up the way I did. And so, nobody talked to nobody, so it was hard to live in a world where everything is catered to the abusive government instead of to the people. And the government, as long as you're being obedient, they're okay. But if you're being rebellious, they're going to do something to get you back on their track. Well, I think you and I can pretty much see that the problems does not only pertain to me, it pertains to the whole crazy world. That you have an abusive government is causing everybody to be abusive. And so I didn't know how to deal with this abuse, and I didn't know how to talk, and so I knew about the Kabbalah, the Hebrew Kabbalah, and I really was desperately wanting someone to teach me about it. But I didn't have the money to take the classes, so I took the time to study it on my own. But it took me a long, long time, and time away, precious time away from my son as he was growing up, to understand how the Kabbalah works. And so I went to the library every single day. After I lost custody of him, and after I was forced to relinquish him to the people that was taking care of him, and Utah government says, well, if you come back willingly, we won't throw you in jail. So I came back willingly, and they threw me in jail. I can understand why, because in this situation, I'm breaking the law, and so the law needs to throw you in jail and to observe you whether you're sick in the head or not. So the whole time that I was in jail, I fasted. I didn't drink nothing. I didn't eat nothing for 5 days, and I needed, God's help in my life desperately at that time. And so I wrote my thoughts out on a piece of paper while I was in jail, and it sounded very good to me. And then I didn't know how long I was going to be in jail, but their observations of me told them that I was okay, that nothing was wrong with me. I wasn't a child abuser. I wasn't anything that, of that kind. And I just wanted to raise my son so that he can know how much I loved him. So anyway, on the 9th day that I was in jail, they let me go, and instead of a felony, they charged me a misdemeanor. So, in any country you need laws, I understand. And but the way I see it is, we the people need to be able to understand how to get out of the chaotic mess that we're in right now. And apparently our government likes to keep us in the mess that we're in so that we can be forced to have an abusive government. So it's up to us to have the power to release ourselves, to free ourselves from this abuse. And so as I was studying for, from 1997, I studied at the library every single day. And when the library was closed on weekends and holidays, Sundays and holidays, I would go to a store, whatever, supermarket, whatever, and I sat down at their deli tables, and I just stayed there until my studies and my record recording my daily activities was completed. So I did this ritual every single day, trying to figure out how to bring order to a chaotic life that I had. And so I eventually, in 1990, so I studied the Kabbalah, and I studied everything that I knew, the ancient Hawaiian, how they did things, the kahunas, and how the power that they had, but we don't see that kind of power anymore, and because we're told that it's evil, and it's not. The government is evil, and so it's up to us in order to it's up to us to transcend the evil. We cannot overcome evil. Evil is a misnomer. I mean, you cannot live life without evil, because all evil is just something that rubs you the wrong way. Well, everybody has something rubbing them the wrong way, and it may be good for one person, but it's not good for another person. So everybody who's living the government way of living, according to their agenda, are good people. And the people who are rebellious, like I guess I'm considered one of the rebellious people as well, according to them, that I need to be silenced. So, but as long as I have the opportunity to remain online and not get my channel, my YouTube channel taken down, or my Facebook page taken down, which I have received many attempts in the past to get me offline. As long as I have the opportunity to say what I feel, I will continue to speak my mind until such time that we change, that we change our world, that I change my world. And the only way the world will change is if I change, and I guess we all heard that many times before. So I've I focus on changing my world, and for 21 years I've done this activity, the Four Seasons calendar, and I can only say I'm very grateful to Spirit for helping me, because the whole time that I was studying, I was, you know, I was praying hard to God to help me to understand how to take back my power, and how to be able to help people understand how to take back their power as well. So so this is the story. I began this explanation. This is the story about this blanket. Since then, because of the situation where I traumatized my son by taking him away from the family that he grew up with for a year, by taking him away to California, or to be with my family during Christmas, and then he had to come back with the people, with the guy that with my friend who was taking care of him, and not realizing that when he had come to get him in you know, I guess it was in California, not Vegas, where we were at that time. And so he came and get him, and I should have helped him to understand what was going to happen, but I didn't. And so when he took him in the bus that he came on to get him, I heard him crying, and another trauma that he had to go through because of me. So my son grew up traumatized, and to this day we don't get along, because he blames me for the troubled life that he has, and I don't blame him for blaming me. However, then you have to take back your power, and like I had to, and say, okay, how do I deal with this situation by myself, instead of blaming everybody for my troubled life, including the government. Excuse me. So how do I take back my power? You know, how do I accept the full responsibility of taking my power back? So this winter of 2019, all the Four Seasons calendar goes up to is 21 years. I didn't know that until this past winter, when the end of the world came, and right up until for 21 years, I was kind of wondering what in the world is going to happen now that the 21 years is over. And the only logical thing that came to me, because Spirit says to me, the only way you're going to understand this activity is to do it. So I've been doing it for 21 years, and it seems like I understand that as soon as this activity starts up again, after the 13 days that divides the winter from the spring is done, as soon as it starts up again this spring, that's the only time I'll know what's happening. Excuse me. So, this is the reason why, for the very first time that I've been doing this activity, I decided to lay out the pathway spread on the day of bear. I planned this while I was still in the winter cycle of 2019, and so the reason why I am making this video is to show you the cards that I've drawn. I wanted to know whether what I was doing is leading me into anything that will help me in my life. So far, and the primary reason why I have I needed to develop this activity in my life is to help me to have structure in my life so that I don't create no more problems for anybody else, especially myself. And I wish, now that my son is suffering at 25 years old from my actions, I still see, I believe in miracles, and I know that he can see that I did my best. I love him with all my heart, and then maybe later on I'll show you some things that we've been through, that, all the sufferings that we've gone through. But I don't think I would like to do that until we actually get back together again. Because I don't care how much I suffer. I just want to transform chaos into order. And my whole life has been a desire for order. And for the very first time in my life, I enjoy, not necessarily, well, I every day of my life, it's hard work to do this activity. Because you're going to have to own your own issues. Because this activity, you cannot be in denial. You can try being in denial, but it'll just show you your own issues. And so I needed something this powerful to help me to see the truth of my life. So, and so I've been doing this. Now that the 21 years is over, I respect this activity, the Four Seasons calendar. And I can say, now that I'm completely finished with it for the first 21 years, how much I respect it and how much I, and I know if you love God, this activity can only get you closer to Him. But that's what people fear the most, I believe. They fear getting too close to God, and I don't. I want to get as close to God as I can, and I don't care how it happens. But the only way that can happen, as far as I'm concerned, is for me to transform my fear into love. We all got fears, but we got to transcend those fears. And if we're going to have a loving world, we need to be love. God is love. We need to be the same in order to have a better world. So, okay, so that brings us to the pathway spread that I laid out for today. Now, you're watching this video the opposite view that I'm seeing it. So, according to you, a lot of these cards are upside down or right side up. But to me, only 2 are right side up. The others are upside down. And this is my past. So as far as my past is concerned, because the pathway spread yeah. The pathway spread is 7 cards. Okay? 7 cards. There's the 7 cards. And so, number 1 is my past. Number 2 is my present. Number 3 is my future. Number 4, the pattern or set of life lessons that is moving through your life. Okay? This one is number 5. The challenge you have conquered or the lesson just completed. Okay? Number 6, what is working for you? And number 7, what is working against you? Okay. Okay, so I decided to make this movie as soon as I got to card number 4. And this is the reason why. I wasn't going to make a video of this layout or of this activity on today, but I've decided to make it because of card number 4, which according to the pathway spread is the pattern or set of life lessons that is moving through your life. Okay? Now this is my past, hummingbird. So according to this, my past is joy. The meaning of hummingbird is joy. I didn't understand how, well, I knew that yesterday, on the day of deer, I could feel that this next 21 years that's coming up is going to be great. And that's what I felt yesterday. So this is my past. Now my present is contrary whale. So, you know, you can read that on your own. And now, my birth date, when you add up all the numbers, November 4th, 1950, it adds up. When you do numerology with my birthday, you come out with number 21. And as we all know, it's not only the number of years that the Four Seasons calendar takes, but it's also 3 sevens. 3, sevens. Both are sacred numbers. And you got the Trinity, 3, and you got 7, 7 days a week, you know. And the 7 levels, well, you know, if you, number 7, we all know to be a sacred number as well. And so my number is number 3, and so 21, 3 sevens. And it's been 7 years when the Four Seasons calendar ended from the date of, or from the year when the Mayan calendar ended. So I after reading these first 3 cards, I began to question whether what I was doing, as far as the Four Seasons calendar is a waste of time, or is it getting me anywhere? And it wasn't until I started reading the meaning of this card, Spider, that I began to, like I said before, that I decided to make this movie. And okay, I'm gonna read the meaning of Spider, because there's some interesting things I'd like to say regarding it. Yeah, I didn't finish the whole, I didn't finish the whole read of Spider, and so I'm gonna read it from the beginning, and then talk about it as we go along. Spider, weaving webs of delight, weave me a peaceful world, carrying creation in your web. Waiting to be unfurled. Spider wove the web that brought humans the first picture of the alphabet. The letters were part of the angles of her web. Deer asked Spider what she was weaving and why all the lines looked like symbols. Spider replied, "Dear, my dear, it is time for Earth's children to learn to make records of their progress in their Earth walk," Deer answered Spider. "But they already have pictures that show through symbols the stories of their experiences." "Yes," Spider said, "but Earth's children are growing more complex, and their future generations will need to know more. The ones to come won't remember how to read the petroglyphs." So it was that Spider wove the first primordial alphabet, as she had woven the dream of the world that had become manifest. Spider's dream of the physical world had come to fruition millions of years before. Spider's body is made like the number 8, consisting of 2 lobe-like parts connected at the waist and 8 legs. Spider is the symbol for the infinite possibilities of creation. Her 8 legs represent the 4 winds of change and the 4 directions on the medicine wheel. Spider weaves the webs of fate for those who get caught in her web and become her dinner. This is similar to humans who get caught in the web of illusion in the physical world and never see beyond the horizon into the other dimensions. The web of fate also represents a wheel of life, which does not include any alternatives or solutions. It is typically human to get caught in the polarity of good or bad fortune without realizing that we can change it at any time. If we are not decisive enough about changing our lots in life, we may end up being consumed by our fears and limitations. Spider is the female energy of the creative force that weaves the beautiful designs of life. Her web has hundreds of intricate patterns which catch the morning dew. If Spider has dropped from her web into your cards today, she may be telling you to create, create, create. Look for new alternatives to your present impasse. She can also be warning you that you are coming too close to an entangling situation. Spider could be asking you to use a journal to write out and review your progress. If you do this, you will not forget how you are creating a new or different phase in your life. Spider brings a message of a different kind when she sees you becoming a bit too involved in the weaving of your life plans to notice opportunity at the outskirts of your web. If this is the case, Spider gets your attention so that you notice that something you have woven has borne fruit. Congratulations! Spider caught you just in time before you missed the opportunity on the edge of your web or reality. The most important message from Spider is that you are an infinite being who will continue to weave the patterns of life and living throughout time. Do not fail to see the expansiveness of the eternal plan. Okay, now that's it for Spider, right side up. And usually I don't read the right side up meanings of the cards if they're upside down. So I just read the contrary meaning of the cards that's upside down. So, let's see. Okay. Before going back to this paragraph, the third paragraph from the end, it talks about create, 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 and also to write out, your experiences in your journal. Well, so, and number 4 again is the pattern or set of life lessons that is moving through your life. Okay. That's the meaning of the 4th card in the pathway, in this pathway spread. Well, it's kind of interesting that for the first 4 years, which I thought the 4 seasons calendar, I used to call it the 4-year program. But when the 4 years was up, I didn't continue writing in my journal. I just wrote it for the first 4 years. But I'm glad I did, because there was a lot of powerful things that happened to me in these first 4 years. that helped me to keep out of making trouble for myself or for other people by being conscious of myself, of my actions every single day. It wasn't okay. So that was back in 1998 when I started the Four Seasons calendar, and then 2002 is when it ended. The first 4 years. So in 2002, I thought it was all over, but it wasn't until 2010 when I realized that what was happening to me contained the meaning of the meanings of the major arcana in the tarot. And in other words, my fifth year, I had a dream because I'm Hawaiian. I had a dream of let me check this movie. I don't know how I don't want it to turn off. So okay, so it's still running. So anyway, on the fifth year, when I look back, in 2002, 2002 to 2003 was the fifth year. So in my fifth year, I went back to my journal, which I had only recorded sporadically, and read what I had written on one of those days. And it was interesting. It's interesting to find out when you go back, and when I read what I had written on that particular day, I found it very interesting because the fifth year is the year of the shaman. Okay, medicine man, whatever. Well, being Hawaiian, my dad's dad was in Hawaiian he's called, that kind of kahuna is called kahuna ana, and he was the kind of kahuna that people paid money to. If they didn't like you, if they didn't like somebody, they would pay money to this kahuna, and that kahuna would pray you and you would die, pray you to death. And so he was a more popular kahunas in the old Hawaiian tradition. And those are the ones that made it bad for all the kahunas. And so, and that's the reason why America, American government says no more kahunas. Get rid of all that black magic kind of stuff, which is not true, because there's a lot of good guys that lost their blessing to teach people. So we had to give up our way of trying to help people to understand how to live in balance with our world, to America's, to our corrupt government. And all they are is just money, money, money. As long as you're making money, you're a good person. Well, we can now see how money is literally destroying our world, because nowadays you don't need to have you don't need to have a honest vocation to earn money. As long as you got money, you're okay with the law. So that's the reason why it has become corrupt. People murder, people kill other people for money, people do all kinds of crazy things. And so presently we are witnessing the demise of our own planetary home. So, but it wasn't until 2010 that I began to see that every year matched perfectly the major arcana, the vibrations of the major arcana. And again, my number is 21 at my birth. And I always thought that if my number is 21 and this activity goes for 21 years, I mean, I can see how I will get the full benefit of 21 years of doing this activity. But for those born with different dates or different numerological numbers, how will it apply to them? Some are 7, some are 8, some are 11. I mean, 11 can be broken down to 2. But when you look at 21, it can be broken down to 3. But if there is a major arcana for your birth date, numerological number, that's the number you go by. So if your number adds up to 11, in other words, then you're the day of justice. And who knows what's going to happen if you start this program? Who knows what's going to happen on the 11th, on your 11th year? Only you can find out what will happen in that year. Let me see. So, well, that's the reason why the only way you can know what happens to you personally with this activity is to do it. So I invite everyone, if you're not afraid of the truth of you, if you're not afraid of you, I invite you to well, if you I mean, when the butterfly spread comes up next week Wednesday, to draw the 4 cards and see your and the reason why so much emphasis in the 4 Seasons calendar is placed on the Day of Butterfly is because when I started this activity in 1998, it wasn't like there was only 44 cards at that time, and in the medicine cards, and so I began the first season, which was spring, and it was only after the spring cycle that Spirit says to me, divide each season by 13 cards. Well, so I used number 1 as eagle, and then went all the way to number 13, which is coyote. And but it wasn't until the end of that entire year that I could see that the card number 9 was actually, card number 9 being the day of, being the vibration of butterfly. Card number 9 had, when I matched up the 4 cards that I had drew, after the spring cycle of 1998 was completed, that each card that I had drawn matched up perfectly according to the seasons of the four seasons of that year, 1998 to 1999. When I had looked back and read my activities in my journal, it was well, call it freaky, call it what do you call it? Occult, call it whatever name you want to give it, mysterious. All I knew was that the vibrations of the card of the butterfly matched perfectly to the four seasons. And it's not only the four seasons, but it's the 4 fortnights within each season that it matches perfectly. And so I knew that this activity, there was something very deeply powerful about it. And and as you know, in the tarot, there is the vibration or card of death. We're all afraid of death, and we're all afraid of the devil. But once you do this activity, you'll notice why you are afraid of it. It's because of ignorance. Because in life, there is opposites in all things. Day and night, positive, negative, male and female. We all need to live together. But we can end all this crazy manipulation by those who are illuminated as opposed to those who are ignorant. We can eliminate all this fear as soon as we recognize our own fears and transcend them. So, as far as I'm concerned, I mean, if you can see what I'm saying and see the value of what I'm saying, I mean, this activity is amazing. It's wonderful. It'll help you create harmony in your personal life to where, and that's all that's needed. I mean, harmony, everybody loves harmony. I mean, including the Illuminati, they love harmony. So if we do this activity, everybody will benefit. Not only the good people, everybody will benefit. And that's the reason for this activity and why I've been trying to help people to discover the magical beauty of this activity. It's amazing. It's wonderful. So we can literally enjoy a beautiful world as soon as we decide to face our own fears. And as far as that is concerned, I hope I have left everything I needed to say in this video. If I forget something, I'll perhaps write it in the description of the video below. And but I love you guys, and whoever, if you can see the value of this, take advantage of the Day of Butterfly. Get you your own, medicine card deck. Oh man, it's so beautiful. And we can respect all of life. Look! All these cards are animals, and they're beautiful. But we're destroying them because of our own fears, and I don't know why. I mean, why would anybody want to destroy anything that's beautiful? So, and that's because I think it's fear. People don't understand the value or the meaning of eternity. And if you read that that spider card meaning again, it'll help you see how you can deal with your fear of of life on an eternal level. You can see it in a practical sense. And once you see that in actuality eternity is now is eternity. And that's the meaning of eternity. There is no past or future with eternity. Eternity is all now, the present, you know. And so anyway, that's all I'm gonna say. And so I'll leave you guys with this, you know, with this few things, whatever. I know I spoke more a long time, but anyway, God bless us. God bless the world, our world, and you know, we don't have to be afraid anymore. We got a structured approach to overcome all of our fears. So all you got to do is just commit to this thing. And once you commit to it, understand that life is forever, and this thing never ends. And it's beautiful. But the only thing you need to do is just lay out the card, the four cards, once a year, and you got your complete description of what you're going to be dealing with in your own personal life throughout that entire year. The important thing is to know that to know is to love. If you don't know something, you don't know someone, how can you love that person? But if you know yourself, there is no love. There is no fear in your life. And you can love even those people that you don't know, because love is inside of you. Well, that's the secret to having a new world, a better world, a world of love, is to overcome that fear within inside of you. Anyway, I'm going to end this video. God bless us all. God bless you. God bless my son. God bless our families. God bless the animals, and I'll wrap it up and say until next time. We'll see you later.